Rebel victory! After a big win on Endor, it's time for a well-earned vacation. Rebel leaders like Leia, Luke, Chewie, and Logray take a trip to the remote planet of Bombardia, ready to party. Unfortunately, when they arrive, they're ambushed by some scoundrelly scamps. Will our heroes make it to the beach, or will they be held for ransom? Hello everyone and welcome back to another Bombad Battle Report. Matt here, and I've got a doozy for you today. I think this is a very fun game. None of the new releases. I'll probably start painting those as soon as I finish editing this video, and maybe they can make it into some battle reports or bonus battles by the end of the year, hopefully. But for today, we've got an Ewok, quote-unquote, list versus a good old scoundrelly Hondo Bad Batch. So let's hop into the lists. On Team Endor, we're really trying to leverage Logray's abilities to move people around. We've got scouts with the Rebel Commandos and with Chewie, and then Zeb's a warrior. And his big issue is honestly getting conditioned up, so Logray can kind of help with that as well. And Zeb's also a pretty good target for being moved around and, shooting things with Logray there. So that's that. And then, of course, we've got Luke, dashing hero, paired with Leia, making the 7 points work. So only one real Ewok in this team, so we'll call it Team Endor. But for game purposes, everybody's an Ewok. And it's a fun list, one I have been trying to get a few more games in with. Really enjoy this one. And then another list that may not be tip-top tier, but very enjoyable. You know I love Bad Batch. Maybe I have too much of them on my channel. Tell me if it's too much Bad Batch. But today we're pairing them with Hondo. And there's a couple ways you can take this list, especially in the secondary slot, right? I went with Django because I like that capture wire for the diceless displacement. But you can also go with Commander Wolf if you want that climb ability to add some verticality and some extra movement for the team. So it's kind of flexible that way. I'm very excited to show this on camera too. And I think these are going to be some well-matched lists. So hopefully that plays out on the table. As first player, the Rebels chose this side. And I put Leia's team on the left because I felt like I could get better use of infiltration on that side. We can see we're really pushing one of our commandos up aggressively. But the idea is maybe we can get some LOS blocking from that building, or at the very least, an extra dive from cover. And then on the other side, I put Wrecker across from the Logray squad, because I don't think that squad can deal with his steadfast bubble especially well. So I think that is a good matchup on that side of the board to have. With all the objectives in the midline being elevated, Django should be pretty happy. And we get Recon enemy positions as our first struggle, and the first order card is Leia, which seems pretty decent. We're going to start off with her tactic ability here and use it to get another Rebel Commando up into the fight. They won't be on the correct level, but they will be contesting that left side objective, allowing us to flip it right away, which we like. And then we're going to start moving her up. I think that I can probably get to the ladder with just in advance, though maybe I should have hunkered first just to make it a little less tight. We'll measure here, and yeah, we'll say she's got it. So up the ladder she goes. In a moment, she'll go up the next ladder, but for now, Hunter gets to follow up with a dash, moving more towards the midline, which is good for him. Gets him up closer to melee range. His gun is actually kind of decent, but he really loves melee. So defensive maneuver here from Leia. That's going to take her up the second ladder. And second action, we're going to take cover. So we've got two hunkers. We're body blocking that middle objective. That's going to be really tough for the Republic to take. And we've got our coordinated fire exposed right in the middle of the board. So I think that's a really good starting turn for the Rebels. Maybe we're overextending the commandos a little bit, but they're underneath that gantry. They'll get cover from it. They've got their hunker, so they should sustain maybe one shot. And we see Wrecker here for the Republic. I usually like to take an objective on my first turn, but again, he will be really sticky over there. And maybe there's even a world where he gets, that very center position. So we're going to try it. We'll start by using his tactic to dash towards Leia, and then first action, unleash a shot into her. Not a terrible roll, but she has a crap ton of defense dice. So after the hunter failed to hit, we're getting 2 down the tree, 3 damage, and a pin. And second action, Wrecker's going to go down, hit the ladder, and come secure that left side objective. So to open up the scoring, the Republic is just going to score 2. Usually I'd be a little bit afraid that maybe the Rebels would come back, take that away, score 4, and it would be a real big uphill battle. But I think Wrecker's pretty safe there, and he is outside coordinated fire range, so that helps as well. So not an amazing start. I would have loved to get 1 shove to make an easier time of it, in the future going after Leia, but so be it. And the Shatterpoint here for the Rebels. I love it. We're going to just put a hunker on Zeb. He has nothing to heal. Leia's also a warrior, so she's going to heal a damage, and then dash, because she's also a scout, which will remove her pin. And then for some other scouts, we've got the Rebel Commandos. Both get to dash there, so we'll send one up the ingress. That gives them some good flexibility on either going to the middle or to the left. And then the other guy will just kind of aggressively maybe threaten that backline objective and get more directly underneath his objective. And then, of course, Chewie is also an Ewok scout in this list, so he will get a dash up as well. So that's a lot of free movement and some good healing to start us off. And Logray is just going to advance and take a shot into Wrecker, I think. He's got his range 4. Not a bad shot, not an amazing one. Just 2 down the tree, which will be 1 damage and a strain after Protection Steadfast. I don't know what my force situation is like, so I'm going to just save Elder's Command maybe for the future. So a bit of a small turn, not doing a whole lot, but really setting us up well in the future as we score 3 points for the Rebels. Hondo now for the Republic. I don't really have any force to refresh. That's a big, nice part of Hondo. I could maybe go after one objective, but I feel like he's kind of a free reserve, so we're going to go ahead and reserve him, and instead we draw Techo. Not too bad. We're going to start by paying 1 for their dash and hunker. The unfortunate thing is they are only a range 4 clone support as opposed to range 5, which means it might be a little harder to get guns pointed at Leia here. Yeah, I think maybe we've got 1, but we definitely don't have both. So we're going to take a second action. Tech is going to just climb on up, and then I think we're going to send Echo with an advance to that ladder, and he'll take the ladder up. So not ideal. She still has a ton of great defense. This might be kind of an underwhelming turn, but I think they were too far away to challenge that right side objective. We'll start with tech shooting. That's some crits. An extra hit doesn't do much, but we do get 2 down the tree for 2 damage, strain, and a shove on Leia. So we are opening up some space up top there, which is really important because we're eventually going to need to get a body up there to contest. Second shot, not so good, and she has a pretty good roll. Even with all the fails, she's rolling so many dice that nothing gets through. And that's only going to be 2 points for the Republic. So really kind of coming out of the gate slow. It's that tough middle spot, which I made intentionally. I wanted to play around with kind of some small objective locations as we draw Luke here. He is pretty darn fast. He doesn't have any spy friends in this list, so he's going to use his tactic ability on himself as I bump a whole bunch of terrain. So he gets a full advance there, which is not too bad. He loves to be hunkered, so we are going to start by paying 1 force, climbing him up, and gaining that sweet hunker, which gives him rerolls and gives him obviously some better ranged defense. And I think I actually want to go and take a shot at these ARF before they're hunkered, as opposed to shooting into hunkered Techo. So first action, he's going to move to get range 5, take a shot. Not a terrible start, and we have 2 fails to reroll, which give us another expertise and another strike, more importantly. That gets us 3 down the tree for 4 damage and the shove, getting those ARF kind of out of position and starting to put the damage on them. So we more securely hold that objective. Just 3 for the Rebels because we weren't flipping that record objective, but we kind of have that backline objective in our sights. Maybe we could have been a little more aggressive to go after it, but I think I like the play we did. And finally, the Republic gets Django. That's what I really want here. He's going to be able to help us out with our Leia problem on the middle. Unfortunately, a focus will not get me into range 3 with the free jump I get, so he's going to do an advance for his first action. And shooting into Leia with a bajillion hunkers doesn't seem great, so we'll start with the capture wire, paying 1 for that, of course, giving her a pin to go along with her strain. And Django doesn't love to punch, but is what it is. At least she loses all her hunkers, as we'll go ahead and just a nice 6 dice punch into Leia. She rolls really badly, so that's going to be just still only 2 down the tree, plus an extra damage for 4 damage, up to 5 because doubling strain. And then pay 1 more force for a jetpack up to the top. And look at us, we are the captain now on that midline objective, body blocking all the rebels from getting up there with Django. And of course, he's pretty good and defensive himself. He's not Leia with many hunkers, but hopefully he can hold that well for us. But the rebels get rebel commandos who are really good at shoving. To start off, we're going to pay 1 for a dash, a hunker, and a focus, kind of giving us a better angle on Django there. And this guy will be a bit more aggressive towards that backline objective. Kind of thinking if things go well on that first attack into Django, maybe we can attack the ARFs as well. But Django's the main money here, so we'll start with that attack. Pretty decent roll from the commandos, not great from Django, so we're going to get what we need. And really, we only need that 1 shove, actually, so we're able to do a pin disarm 3 damage onto Django, since he wasn't able to get that far up onto the platform. So now that he's out of the way, we will take a shot into the ARF with our second attack. They don't quite roll as well defensively, and we get a pretty good attack. We're going to get a little bit greedy and take some heals here, since we can really heal up Leia. And of course, getting the wound, that means Logray rolls and gives us a strike, which is a force refresh, which not bad at all. However, a dash would have been nice because here we're going to have Hondo use his reactive since the ARF are clearly within 4 and got wounded, so he's going to reposition and secure this backline objective and keep that away from the rebel commandos. So I probably should have gone the other way down their tree to get the reposition and flip that objective before he took it. So that was a mistake by me, I think, and that the rebel commandos will just have to kind of retreat. They still flip 1 objective, but flipping 2 and the 2, really hard to access objectives would have been an even better turn than it already was. So a little bit of a miscalculation, and I think now is the time for Hondo to strut his stuff. He's going to refresh 3 force at the start of the turn, which is something we really like, and then we're going to do a move back sort of play here. So starting with his move action, getting just outside engagement range of Leia so we can shoot this rebel commando. And that is going to be 2 crits getting through for us, which will be 2 damage and 2 shoves, knocking that guy off of his perch on the middle, which is exactly what we wanted to do. The shoves are really the important thing here, but getting some damage into the rebel commandos to start off is also pretty nice. The one thing that they lack is durability, so now that they're 6 away from being wounded, perhaps we can take them out in a future activation pretty easily. And then Hondo's going to pay 1. He will dash himself, and he's going to dash Tekko to put 2 more bodies on the middle. I'm really happy about that because now, even if they shoot 1 off and move up, there's still going to be 1 there, and they can hopefully hold that objective for a bit longer and give us some time to kind of eke out a lead here in this all-important struggle 1 on shifting. So finally, the Republic scores 3. And that is a decent turn there from Hondo. We've got lots of force to play with now, as now we get the actual Logray activation on the rebel side. Now, Logray is never a bad turn, but I do think that he might have more impact in the future. So I think I'm going to pay 1 and reserve him here to kind of pull him out right when he can make a lot of plays happen. And instead we get Zeb, which isn't terrible. It's not great. We'll start by paying 1 to dash towards a friend, or at least it should have been. I did a full advance because I'm not used to playing Zeb outside of Spectres, so a little bit of cheating there, but we'll let it slide and he will climb into engagement with Wrecker. So it's going to be hard to shove Wrecker away, but we'll try. We'll start with a punch. That is a lot of expertise, which will turn into 2 crits, but Wrecker can deal with one of them. We're only getting 1 down the tree, 2 damage down to 1. I don't think it's worth paying a force for a second attack, and that is an underwhelming turn from the Rebels. So this, I guess I would categorize as quite a cagey start to the game. Quite a few kind of underwhelming turns for each unit here as we start out. And the Republic gets ARF, who were wounded, so now they're just going to kind of wake back up, make some moves, and take a couple shots. So starting with the advances, then the guy on the left will shoot first, ask questions later, shooting Leia. A roll so good we don't even need Hunter's dice fixing to run our tree. But we're going to go down the bottom actually so that we toss a disarm on her as we still are able to get the wound. That's very nice. Second attack, we'll go into commandos. Less good. We're just going to get 1 down the tree, which is a pin and a damage. And a pin, not too bad. So still only scoring 3, no objectives flipped. But we are getting that wound on Leia, making coordinated fire much more expensive, which is a really good thing for us because, you know, coordinated fire all the time in the middle of the board, not something we especially want to deal with. The Republic, I think Chewie is their play. We know that we're going to grab him because he can double shove, and we've left Logray here for the moment, which will guard our back objective as Chewie will dash towards Logray, giving Logray a hunker, and of course putting Chewie in a bit of a stronger position. And then, I mean, whatever happens, we are going to be able to outnumber Wrecker on this objective. The spacing is actually kind of tight, but we are able to fit Chewie in there. That does get him to melee as we punch Wrecker. Not a bad attack. That is going to get us a grand total of 4 spots down the tree. 6 damage down to 5 with a expose and a disarm. Wrecker could choose to dash, but he doesn't want to kill himself. Chewie will pay 1 force, roll 5 dice, 3 more damage into Wrecker, and that will get the wound as we flip the objective and score 3 big ones for the Rebels. And getting Wrecker wounded, again, really nice for the Rebels. So a couple big wounds coming on these last 2 turns for each team. And with the game kind of playing out the way it is, we're not hitting the middle spot and gaining momentum that way. Momentum from wounds will be very important. So now we've got Hunter, and I realized that I forgot to move Hunter once with a dash when Logray activated, and I'm going to be a nice opponent to myself and say, hey, go ahead, take that missed opportunity to be the enhanced tracker that you are, Hunter, take that missed dash, and that is very polite. With that out of the way, we get to do his actual turn, so his tactic is going to advance Echo a bit aggressively here. We're going to try to see if we can body up that far objective. So Echo is our first body, and he's staying out of melee range of the Rebel Commando just because, you know, we don't want to lose our hunker. And to start his turn, Hunter is going to pay 1 force for a dash and a 5 dice attack into this poor commando down below. Not tons getting through, but we are going to get 2 down the tree for 3 damage with an all-important shove, which gives us a little distance, and then a dash as well. We were really hoping for that expertise to give us the dash because that's going to open up the big play that we're going to see here in a second. If this hadn't worked, then I would probably be sending Hunter to go see Logray on the other corner, but it did, so we're going to take an action to climb, heading up next to Echo, and we are going to be in a less than ideal spot because we're out of melee range with that commando, and we're going to have to shoot and hope for a shove. We are stuck in Knife Fighter, but a couple natty crits are really going to help us there, as once again we get 2 down the tree. That's going to be the wound and the all-important shove to put us on the objective. We needed those 2 down the tree to get that wound and to get the shove, which allows us to outnumber Luke 2-1 on that objective, scoring 3 once again, and getting more of that sweet, sweet wounding momentum. Of course, now Logray has to go. He's the last card in our first deck here. Zeb has nothing to heal, and he cannot gain a hunker, so the warrior tag is not doing much for him there. But Leia will be able to heal her disarm, and then as a scout, she's going to dash to remove the pin. No hunker because she's engaged with Django. I'm actually going to use Chewie to come backwards and guard this back right objective from Logray's perspective, just to have a body there because we know the Shatterpoint's coming up. Then we are going to do a dash just to kind of get the commandos a little bit more central, even though they're wounded, just kind of maybe make it less likely we have to pay to move them on their next activation if they can already start closer to wherever they happen to need to be. So that's the tactic out of the way, and we're going to start by paying one force to dash and focus. Then I'm going to take a shot at Techo. Luckily, they really biffed the roll, so that is a good shout for us. Running the tree for 5 damage, double shove, strain, and we're going to get free Elder's Command. Now that double shove is also going to have the added benefit of knocking Echo into, well, Tech into melee, removing his hunker. That's going to be quite handy as we follow up with Elder's Command to try to finish the job. Only 2 damage needs to be done, so that should be pretty easy. I want one of the commandos to do it. I think I'll go for this guy, kind of, again, pop out, take a shot so that the other guy doesn't have to punch, and that is going to be nothing getting through, unfortunately. So Tech and Echo survive this round. However, it's not going to change the objective math because Logray still has an action left. He's going to be able to climb and be king of the mountain once more with his very central positioning and body blocking. Now, off of that climb, that's a move, so Hunter is going to dash. I don't know, this was maybe excessive. I was just kind of trying to put him in a spot, I guess. But was probably a little unnecessary, as we'll see here coming up. But all important, flip that objective, and we're good to go with Logray. 3 more big points for the Rebels, as this is continuing to be an extremely evenly matched opening struggle. And as the Republic gets to the end of their deck, we get the good old Shatterpoint. We're going to choose Hunter, who will tell Wrecker to dash, partly to move him and partly just to remove his strain. Heal the pin on Django below, and then punch Logray. Not the worst, not the best. Just 2 down the tree, unfortunately, so we're not going to be able to shove him off of this platform. But we do put 3 damage on him, so that's not nothing, and we open up a space for a body in the future. I'm trying to see if the follow-up I can get anywhere, but there's not enough space, so Hunter just stays where he is. However, thanks to our dice fixing, we were able to get a 3rd expertise in there, which gives us a reposition. And because I got that sweet reposition, I'm actually going to get a little aggressive here. I have still a action left, and I have striking distance available, which is only 5 dice, but against Chewie, I think I only need 1 shove, which is 1 down the tree. So I pay 1, get that dash, and get range 2 on Chewie. No dice fixing for Hunter this time. Chewie gets an extra expertise, but luckily it does nothing. And we are going to get 2 down the tree, exactly what we need. Well, 1 was enough, I guess, but we get that shove and 3 damage, trying to go as far away from the objective as possible while making sure his base is not clipping this building, which we are good. Hunter will follow up, and then he gets a dash. Just double checking that Chewie is indeed beyond range 2, so we flip that objective, and it's going to be another 3 big points for the Republic as they kind of hold serve in this 3-3 battle that we have going on. I would have liked to do a bit more into Logray. Unfortunately, I didn't. And here comes a Shatterpoint. That is spicy. Are we going to do Logray? I think we might actually want to do the Rebel Commandos, just because they have an opportunity to potentially flip 2 objectives, and scoring 4 here would be really, really nice and maybe break this game wide open. Things get a little tricky with the engagement, but if we're able to wound Tech and Echo on the first shot, Then on the second shot with the guy down below, who's currently engaged with Tech, he will then be free to shoot at Hondo, hopefully getting the shove, knocking him away, and opening up an advance to that ladder there. I'm looking at the Logray play as well, thinking about, what I can do with Elder's Command and a dash on Chewie. It just seems a little bit more risky. So we'll go with the Commandos. First shot is going to get the wound. That's good for us. We need 2 damage, pin shove from the guy down below. And we refresh a force with Logray, which we didn't really need, so unfortunate there, I guess, a little bit. We will use the shove to follow up for a little extra distance. I'm thinking we'll just kind of body up the middle here, probably. And then, as we said, this other guy is freed up to take a shot at Hondo. Hondo is out of range of Tech and Echo, so he's not going to use his reposition ability. And that is not a great attack. Only 1 down the tree, pin damage, no shove. I did forget that Hondo also gets 2 expertise jump heal, so we avoided that, so maybe the play was not as reliable as I thought. We're not going to flip 2 objectives, just the one. We'll climb onto the 2 midline objectives, flipping back the one that Luke was already covering, but now at least we've got 2 bodies on each, 1 Rebel Commando, and then Luke on one, Logray on the other. And we get Wrecker for the Republic, which seems decent now that Chewie has abandoned his spot. So Wrecker's going to back up a little bit, stay within 1 of Zeb, and shove Zeb straight backwards. Not quite straight backwards, but I think enough that we're able to shoot Logray, paying 1 for coordinated expose, and that is a great move. He's not getting any blocks. We're going to run the bottom of our tree, 6 damage, pin strain. Logray becomes wounded. So that's a great job by Wrecker. Flipping his own objective and then taking out Logray will help us on another objective. And his second action was to heal his own expose. So that's good. We are left in boom stance, which is not super defensive, but it does help against conditions to get the easy access to heals. Now the Rebels are going to draw Luke, and he's not great at shoving, but he could go after Hondo. My fear is, again, Hondo getting that jump from expertise, so I ended up paying 1 to reserve Luke and instead getting Chewie. He's got the flexibility to go after either Wrecker or Hunter. Both you'd essentially need a double shove, 3 down the tree, because Wrecker is steadfast and Hunter is right on top of the objective. But Wrecker has much worse defense, so I'm going to go after him. But of course, we're going to start by dashing towards Logray, which will just get Chewie a little bit closer before he takes his first action to climb up and engage Wrecker, because punching is slightly better. We get an extra die if we're punching. And he really looks like he's just shooting Wrecker in the head there with his crossbow. And that's a good roll from Chewie. Very, very nice. We're going to go down the bottom part of that tree for the double shove with a total of 6 damage before protection. So not too bad. Almost running the tree. Would have been nice to get the heals. And of course, we're going to try to follow up into hopefully a decent location, and we're going to pay 1 force to put some more damage on Wrecker. 3 damage, not too bad. Wrecker does heal 1 damage from expertise, and of course he reduced 1 damage in the attack with protection as well. So he's hurting, but he might be able to survive for a little while. And once again, Rebels flip the objective, they score 3, and the standoff is going to continue. I was kind of trying to body block with Chewie there, following up the shove, but I don't think I did a great job of it, unfortunately. As the Republic draws Hunter, I mean, he can definitely go take care of Chewie, that's for sure. I'm just kind of measuring things, because I can get Wrecker back onto the objective, and I'm thinking that I can then utilize that Wrecker bubble for Hunter. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to send Wrecker up the ladder with Hunter's tactic, and at that point I actually broke the bowstring on Omega, so technical timeout as we glue that back together. Doesn't look perfect, but hey, through movie magic we're right back into it. Wrecker is contesting, and we're going to try to do a little back and forth play with Hunter. So we're going to pay 1 for striking distance. And obviously we're not going to have anyone in range to melee, but that's okay. We're going to use our first action to climb. That gets us melee for sure. We've got our dice fixing, punch Chewie in the face. And that is perfect because we turn that 1 fail into a hit. We're going to not get too greedy going down the bottom part of Hunter's tree for that extra heal to help out Wrecker before we reposition away. And the double shove on Chewie really knocks him back as well. We are also going to get a dash from Hunter's expertise. So essentially he can just go pretty much wherever he wants. But where he wants to be, well, we're first going to see on the reposition, if we just barely get range on the objective, we do not. So we're just going to then use our expertise dash to dash right back on top, outside of the Wrecker bubble, backstopping ourselves with this rock a little bit into shove range. And I flipped the objective wrongly. This is the one that Republic flips. Good stuff for Hunter. Once again, scoring 3. I don't love attacking Chewie just because he is pretty durable. He got the heal from his expertise there as well. So, yeah, no, I don't think we're going to wound him, but we got him off the objective. And at this point, I remembered that I can just pay 1 to expose Hondo and not worry about his jump. So that's what we're going to do, taking Luke out of reserve, using the reposition on himself, paying that 1 for expose, shooting him, and not a great shot, but luckily we get a shove from expertise, which is going to be enough to knock Hondo away. I don't love how I did things there with the force, because now I'm feeling a little tight on force, and we're just going to climb with Luke, which means he doesn't get the hunker that he likes so much. But he does flip the objective. That worked out for us, and the rebels are going to get 3 points as well as we continue to go back and forth in this slog of a first struggle. And then the Republic get a Shatterpoint of their own. Now, what I was thinking at this point is that I've gone with Hunter and Wrecker. If I use my Shatterpoint here, I'm going to be pretty stranded on that side of the table and not really have answers to flip those objectives back later. And I don't like that very much. So I'm going to pay 1 to shuffle it back, and instead we draw Tekko. They'll wake up and shed their strain, then the first shot into a Rebel Commando disarmed, but we get 2 crits naturally, and a 3rd thanks to Hunter dice fixing. So that's going to be 3 damage, pin, shove, and strain. All things that I really like. Then the second guy is no longer disarmed, and he's going to shoot the Rebel Commando up top, hoping for the wound, but we're not quite able to do that. We do get the shove. It's going to be 3 damage because we double up on that strain. If we had gotten the wound, we could have flipped this objective as well. As is, it's a 1-1 tie, but we're putting a body there at least for the future. And then Echo's going to climb up to that other objective. So what do you know? Once again, scoring 3 points. I should just clip that and repeat it at the end of pretty much every turn in this struggle. It is very tight, still could go either way as the Rebels draw their Rebel Commandos, which I don't like here because if they activate, they are in range of Jango and will probably get killed by Not So Fast, and I don't think I can afford to lose a turn to Not So Fast, so I'm going to pay 1 and reserve them. And instead, we're going to get Log Ray, which isn't terrible. He's going to be able to wake up and shed his strain. I'm looking if I maybe want to go after Wrecker, but it doesn't quite seem worth it. I think I'm going to swing for the fences and try to flip 2 objectives here. Once again, Zeb has nothing to heal, but now he does get to gain a hunker. Leia has nothing to heal. She can't gain a hunker, but she will just kind of try to dash to this ladder here. And she's just able to make it, which will mean she gets kind of out of engagement with Jango, gives her a bit more flexibility when she starts her own turn in the future, so that's good. And then, of course, we get to bring Chewie back up to his objective. So that's going to help us with a body there. And then, of course, we could dash commandos, but we'll just remove the pin with one of the guys, and the second will not dash because I don't want to take the strain and die. Focus and punch tech. We're going to get 2 underwhelming rolls, but that is going to be 3 down the tree for Log Ray, which is 5 damage and a pin, and that's a big chunk of their health to start off with. Now we're going to remind ourselves here that we do just have range 4 on Zeb, so we'll pay 2 for Elder's Command, allowing him to dash forward onto this objective, out of engagement with Wrecker, taking a 5 dice shot into Tech. And that is 2 good rolls, but we get 1 down the tree, and that's going to be 2 damage for the wound. Once again, Logray rolls a hit every time, I think, so far. Refresh a force, outnumber Wrecker 2-1, and now that Echo is dead, this Rebel Commando is going to flip an objective as well. That's 4 points. Just when I said that maybe I should clip the thing about everyone scoring 3 points, the Rebels go ahead, they break through thanks to Logray, and they might be in the driver's seat now, as the Republic draws Django, the daddy of all clones. Now, I kind of messed up here. When I was looking at, I think I might have forgotten to actually remove the pin on his card when Hunter healed it. So with that in mind, I was not seeing plays where I could both flip 2 objectives and have a force left to threaten not so fast. Because we do have capture wire on Luke, Hondo would flip that objective and then jumping up to take the commando objective via elevation. But again, I just was in the wrong spot there with Django, thinking that he still had the pin, so I chose to reserve him. But luckily, we got the Shatterpoint. I'm eyeing up something with Hondo, so let me cook here. We're going to start by shooting Luke, and we're going to get the 3 we need. So we'll see here, we're going to get 2 heals, which helps heals Hondo's pin, puts a pin on Luke as well, and we get that almighty shove. That is a great start. We really needed that, because now what we're going to do is pay 1 with Hondo after we finish following up the shove. That will allow him to dash and the ARF to dash. So Hondo's actually going to go the same level as Luke, because he has big plans and he just barely fits, we'll say. The ARF goes to the top, so they're going to win that objective based on being at the correct elevation. And then the other guy is just going to kind of, hang out there, I guess. The nice thing with going with Hondo here, too, is that we refresh to full force. And then obviously we're engaged with Luke, so we take a dash across, hit the ladder, and now we'll take this objective away from the Rebels based on being at the proper elevation here compared to the Rebel Commando. We also have lots of force, and we're in range 2 of the Rebel Commandos, so we'll pay a force and send their card back to reserve, and the Rebel player is going to hate that. Who is me, so I'm going to hate that, unfortunately. It also gives them a pin and a strain, which turns into 1 more damage because of doubling up conditions, and that will just make Not So Fast even easier for Django. So that's a really big threat right now. So 2 objectives flipped. We're going to score 3. We're going to live to see another day with the Republic, because we are able to not land on the center space, which would have doomed us. And what do the Rebels get? The plucky Rebels get Leia. She is going to be able to use her tactic ability on herself, and she should have enough distance to stay out of engagement with Django, which is not too shabby. And we'd be able to attack either Hondo or the ARF. The ARF she'd have to shoot, which she's a little less good at shoving, but Hondo she could melee if she climbs first. However, I think both of them she would need to get 3 down the tree either way, so it's not that big of a difference. So we're going to go into the ARF, I think, with a pistol shot, because they only have 4 dice, and we can do stuff like that. Not too much, but we get the 3 down the tree we need for 4 damage, strain, shove, knocking this ARF, away. And then Leia is going to have to be the one to move to the ladder and go up top, because I have to win this objective based on elevation differences. So that's 3 more points for the Rebels, and I'm really enjoying how that center and what is now kind of that back right objective where Leia is how dynamic they've been, considering that they are kind of body blockable by one model. I still think there's been a lot of cool plays around those two objectives, so I'm enjoying how this map is working out so far, and obviously it's made for a pretty tight game. Realizing now that Django is not pinned, I decided to go with him, since he can guarantee us an objective flip, and just kind of continue to run out the clock until the rebels have to activate their commandos. So Django's going to advance, pay 1 force for capture wire, bringing Leia down and giving her a pin. Then taking a focus for the jump, allowing him to now once again be king of the hill, staying within 3 of the rebel commandos at the same time. So Not So Fast continues to be a threat, and the Republic scores 3. I just think it's, something's got to give, and I think what's got to give is the Not So Fast, because the rebels can't really avoid it. We draw the rebel commandos, we could spend our last force to reserve them, but we're not going to win this turn, and Django's just going to kill us next turn. So why delay the inevitable when we could instead just take our medicine now and I think keep that force for Zeb to make 2 attacks maybe into Hunter on his turn, because 2 attacks, maybe he can get 1 shove each. So they activate, Django kills them with 2 damage from Not So Fast, and that is the end of their turn. It sucks, but that's part of why Django is so good. Even without Not So Fast, he's so good, but that will probably spell doom for us. Not 100%, but we will see the rebels only score 2 points because they couldn't do anything that turn. Now, it is ARF for the Republic, and they're probably not going to do much either, which might be a saving grace for the rebels. So their first action is going to be to heal, taking off that strain and 1 damage. Then we'll just take a couple shots into Luke, starting with this bottom guy. And that is a very good roll. Since Luke is already pinned, we're going to go down the bottom part of our tree for 4 damage, shove, and pop a disarm on him. That will get the wound and opens up our second shot with the other guy. And then this guy I'm just following up, to get a little further along. And other guy into Logray. Also a pretty good roll, not from Logray. We're going to run our tree going along the top for 5 damage, shove, expose. With the pin as well, of course. So that is no objectives flipped. Still 3 for the Republic, but a couple very effective shots from the ARF, so can't complain too much there, I would say. Which means it's time for the rebels to see if Zeb can save them here, I would say. We got to get that 3 points, so he's going to start by advancing towards Hunter, and we'll see if we can get 2 attacks to get 2 shoves. Not a great start, because Hunter does reroll 2 of those fails into 2 more blocks, and we just get 1 down the tree, so swing for the fences, pay 1, attack again with 5 dice, and this time Hunter rerolls those 2 fails into 2 more expertise, meaning he's going to get a heal and a dash. So he will take a strain, heal the strain, and obviously stay on the objective. With that kind of roll, even if we had gotten 2 shoves, the dash would have undone it. So just 2 points for the rebels. Both sides gain momentum, and that'll probably be it for the first struggle as the Republic draws Hondo. He only is going to refresh 2 force, but that's all we need. He's going to start. He's got to use his advance to get into range of Logray, seeing if we can finish him off. And then we'll save his dash ability for a little bit later. So got to close to range 4. And we'll see if we can finish off our free friend with Hondo's pistol. So that's got range. Take the shot. Logray is exposed, so we'll get 4 big spots down the tree. That's going to be more than enough. 6 damage. Reposition, shove, disarm. That gives Hondo some good flexibility. So going into this third struggle, I think I want him on the bottom left objective from the viewpoint of Team Rebel. So that's the direction he's going to go. And as we said, we'll pay that 1 force. So he dashes himself and then might as well dash Wrecker, I think, just to get him a bit further up and get that Wrecker bubble on Hunter as we transition into the second struggle. Never hurts to have a little bit of extra defensive tech. So finally, after 2 full decks, We finish the first struggle. What a slog. And going into the second struggle, it's so much for the element of surprise. The sideways triangles. Now, the rebels could either pick something that is very disadvantageous if they went with Django and Hondo. So they will not. They'll take that hunter objective and the empty objective, which is currently kind of at the bottom of the screen, and then the one in the middle of the screen as well. So not a fantastic way to start a new struggle. I wouldn't say it's an ideal layout. The good thing is that even though Hunter is very hard to displace right now, it is 1-to-1 on that objective. So it's not like the Republic will secure it to start. Now, fresh deck, and it is going to be Logray for the Rebels. He will die at the end of this activation, but he might be able to get Chewie in range of that other objective and secure this one with Zeb. So we'll do it. Zeb, nothing to heal. Leia will be able to gain a hunker, heal her pin, and then as a scout, she gets to dash towards the double. So that will take care of that, even though she's on the wrong elevation. Echo is wounded and not contesting. And then this is for all the marbles. We will see if we can squeeze Chewie in there. Maybe I should have gone to the lower elevation just to get a little bit more direct towards that objective. Because Chewie is just, before I bumped him, about a millimeter or two short. So, sad we will not flip all the objectives, but I think we'll still start with 2 objectives and 3 points. As Logray will then advance, and he is still disarmed as he's going to punch Hunter. Nothing's going to get through. Hunter does get a heal as well. Not much doing there, but Logray's done his job. They outnumber Hunter 2-to-1. They'll flip that objective, flip the other one with Leia, and Logray is gone. Not often you see a primary removed from the game, but the Ewok primaries only have 2 durability, so we see that come into play in this game. Ooh, Shatterpoint could be a real good one for the Republic. We're choosing Hunter, I think, because Wrecker with his big base should be able to get to that open objective. We won't be able to get the double, but we might be able to farm some objectives here, or farm some momentum, I should say. So starting off with that tactic, Hunter will get a little bit further up compared to Chewie. He's on the wrong elevation, so it's not super secure, but for now we will get some points. And then Hunter's going to punch Zeb with his first action. Really good roll, and dice fixing that fail to a hit. We're going to get a total of 5 down our tree. I want to go after the damage side so that we put 7 damage and a strain on Zeb. That'll really make his next activation a little tricky. And then we get some movement, so we'll just get back to our nice secure backstopped position. That's going to be 2 objectives flipped, scoring just 2 points but gaining a momentum. And I don't think we're too sad about that. Hunter does control the double, so that'll be good for the Republic as the Rebels continue their deck with Leia. She's not a great pull, but she could move Chewie here to flip that objective and then get on the right elevation. So I think that's what we're going to do, just because we have some other draws that could be really bad. We could just kind of take a shot into either Hondo or Django, try to mess them up with some conditions. So that's what we're going to do. She activates. Tactic is going to move Chewie. That will flip one objective for us, and then we'll shore up this other one, starting with a climb. And I think our target is probably going to be Django, because he is obviously a very dynamic piece. We'll try to mess him up with some conditions. Yeah, he doesn't have a great defensive role there, so Leia is going to be able to put out a pin and a strain in addition to 4 damage on him, and he's not going to like that. So not the biggest swing of turns, but solid. Just scoring 2, but that's fine. It's 3 onto the side of the Rebels, and we could still get into that 3-3, everybody gains momentum sort of situation for the Rebels to close out this struggle. As the Republic gets Techo. Now they are going to explode at the end of this turn, which is not great. I was looking here thinking if I really want to go after Chewie. It would cost a lot of force, though. I could reserve if I wanted to save, 2 bodies for the future. Yeah, Chewie's probably a little too aggressive. He can be pretty durable, especially at range, and I don't think it's worth the force cost. So we'll just kind of play it a little conservatively here, see if we can take out Leia off of this double, if we can each get a shove. So starting with a move action, Echo's going to back up out of melee, and Tech will come here out of melee. Both are contesting, and we'll see if we can get 2 shoves on Leia, maybe 1 on each attack. We'll start with Echo attacking and pay 1 for the expose. Not terrible, but Leia gets a lot of blocks, so we will get 2 down the tree at least, which is 2 damage, strain, shove. That's half the job right there. Because if Leia is not shoved again, as soon as Tekko evaporate, then she'll retake the objective next turn. So here goes Tech trying to get the same result, but unfortunately not. Nothing is getting through there. So they will be able to flip the objective with the 2 bodies on the proper elevation, but then they are going to be removed. That objective is going to go back to the Rebels next turn. The Republic scores 3, so both people get a momentum. And I think that's going to be really tough at this point for the Republic to pull out this struggle. As the Rebels get commandos, now they are also going to evaporate, but there is a chance here that maybe, just maybe, we could get Hunter removed if we get 3 down the tree for a double shove. He is pretty good at defending, but less so at ranged, so we'll take our chances. Obviously, we want to shoot him rather than punch, so staying just out of contesting. And then we're going to continue to try to mess people up. So into Hunter, that's what we wanted. Triple natty crits is going to be 2 damage with a pin and that double shove to knock him off of the objective. He does get a heal from expertise to remove that pin, but he doesn't get a dash. So we will flip that objective and score 4 at the end of the turn. Which puts the Rebels in a very strong seat to win this struggle. And then the other shot, we're just going to see if we can put a pin on Hondo, set us up for the next struggle. And that will do it with the shot, getting actually 3 down the tree, which will be 3 damage, pin, shove, and a disarm. So Hondo will potentially have a very underwhelming turn at some point in probably struggle 3. And as we said, the Rebel Commandos are going to get removed. They did flip that last objective. I just forgot to do that, so it shouldn't be blue. It should be red. The Rebels control all the objectives. They score 4 points, and it's looking like this is going to be a Rebel sweep. The Republic then is going to draw Hunter, who obviously could flip an objective, but I think he's a really dynamic piece, someone we want to save for a start of Struggle 3 activation rather than kind of a dead turn here. So we'll pay 1 to reserve, and instead we get ARF. I could take a shot at Chewie. I kind of messed myself up with this guy on the right because he doesn't have LOS to Leia. I'd love to shoot twice and then move, but that's not really an option. I'd prefer if there was maybe a way that we could do it without using any force for defensive maneuver, because it feels bad to spend 2 force on kind of a dead turn. So we'll start with a move. This guy will take that back middle objective in case that comes up, and then the other guy is actually going to climb. Instead of taking that first ladder, he climbs directly to the next level, putting himself at range 1 of the second ladder, and allowing him to pop up onto the middle, because that comes up in 2 out of the 3 struggle layouts for the third struggle. So that's a strong position. We'll take a shot into Leia. Again, a pretty good shot, a pretty bad defense from Leia. We're going to get 3 down our tree after the dice fixing for 3 damage, pin, and a shove plus an expose. So that's very nice. Everybody's getting pinned on both sides here. We'll shoot her again with the other guy. And again, she's just going to have a pretty subpar defensive roll. We could go for the wound, but we don't want to. We'll just do 4 damage, doubling up on the pin. Another shove, a disarm. My thinking here, keep her on the verge of being wounded so that, if she activates, she doesn't have a very strong activation, and we can threaten not so fast with Django. So very much a setup turn. The Republic scores 0, gains of momentum, but we've got some ARF in a decent place, and we've got Hunter guaranteed if we want him to start that third struggle. So now it's a setup turn for the rebels, who are going to get Luke. He seems like a fine character to go at this point. We can wake him up, get a body, so he's just going to start by using his tactic to shed the pin and then taking a climb action to get to that objective. It often comes up in the next struggle. Take a shot at the ARF, getting 2 down the tree, which is fine, not fantastic. 3 damage is going to put them on the verge of death. Maybe we can clean them up for a quick wound, but I don't like them being alive to start the next struggle because they could flip an objective before we kill them. So that will be 4 more points for the rebels. They win the struggle, and we go over to blast our way out. So that all-important middle is not active. So I guess less important that we weren't able to kill the ARF with Luke there. And then as far as the layout is concerned, with the Republic, I was thinking ahead to when I've got Hunter activating. I think if we go with this layout, we've got Django taking what is currently, that objective at the top of the screen, and then Hunter can go to the one on the left, and he can move Wrecker to that one on the right. Start the struggle by scoring 4 points. That's usually pretty good, especially at this point in the game where there's kind of less bodies. It might be tough for the rebels to flip everything, so we will take Hunter out of reserve. He's not going to have a flashy turn, but it will be very effective, obviously using the tactic once again on Wrecker, moving him up and kind of giving him a backstop there, trying to make him a little hard to knock away. And Hunter is just going to do an advance and then take cover, giving him a hunker sitting on that objective. Nothing flashy, usually we're used to Hunter doing a lot more on his turns, but hey, we're scoring 4 points. Who can really complain about that? Not me, not I. That's fine. That's a great way to start the third struggle. And it's going to be an uphill battle, I would say, for the rebels. Especially since that double is on Hunter. Ooh, and the rebels get Chewie. I still have Zeb and the Shatterpoint in the deck, and I don't want to risk Zeb. I think Chewie could triple crit into Hunter because of his expertise. So I'm actually going to go with him, I think. And we could even get a kill on the ARF as we pass by. So he's going to start by dashing towards Leia, the only rebel primary left in the game now that Logray has ceased to be. So first action, we're going to advance, and that will keep us within 3 of the ARF. So that as we pass by, maybe they can catch some strays. So we've got lots of force, might as well spend 1. And that is going to be a big 4 damage. Yep, those ARF are definitely wounded. And let's shoot Hunter now. And, 4 natty crits. Man, oh man, Chewie. The Wookiee is angry. 6 damage. Double shove. As I say, I thought that Chewie might get 3 crits because he gets 2 on 2 expertise. But no, 4 natties. Double shove is what we need to not only get Hunter away from the objective, but to follow up Chewie onto that objective. So that is pretty good. Still not in a great spot for the rebels, but we flipped the double. We scored 2, gained a momentum, and of course we already had a momentum from wounding those ARF. So a pretty decent turn. And hey, if Chewie can hold on to the priority this turn, well, less good because the Republic drew Hondo, who is the one guy who could probably knock him away. He refreshes the force, spends it to dash himself and Django, which removes 2 pins, and then advance, disarmed shot into Chewie with 2 natty crits. We were only looking for 1 down the tree for a shove, but we get 4 down the tree. 6 damage will wound Chewie, and a follow-up on the shove will allow Hondo to get even closer on that objective, and I think that's probably it for the rebel chances. Once again, the Republic is able to score 4 points, and I don't see how the rebels will dig their way out, especially, that doubles on Django. We'll see who we draw. It is Zeb. Now, we could reserve him, and then maybe we go with Luke. The problem is, even if Luke can shove Django away and retake the objective, Django could just capture wire him right away and retake that objective, score 4, and win the game. So I don't think that's a good play. Leia is at risk of not so fast, so probably we'll go with Zeb and just hope to survive. So he's going to start by healing his strain. First action, shoot Wrecker. That's going to be pretty decent. Wrecker is caught in his boom stance, so we're going to be able to do 5 down the tree, which will be 5 damage down to 4. 1 shove gets through Steadfast. 2 shoves for Zeb to follow up. We're going to, be wounding Wrecker. That's really good. And we've got plenty of force to burn as well, so we've got, we'll be able to move Zeb and whatnot. Obviously, he's hurting quite a bit, but he does have the ability to pop back up. If he doesn't get shoved away, he could, keep control of an objective that way. He does get that reposition, which will take him up the ladder. And then we might as well spend one of our many force for another attack, just see if we can put some conditions on Wrecker. We, once again, do get a decent chunk through. He's no longer alive, so we only need 1 shove for actually moving him since he's not steadfast. We can put a pin on him, but he does get a heal from expertise, so not super effective. We're going to pay 1 as well to go towards Chewie and just try to put ourselves in a spot where it's tough to shove us away with 1 shove. And really try to hold on to that objective because it's narrow. Our path to victory is narrow. We're kind of hoping that that objective comes up as the double and the Republic can't flip it. So that is the double. That's the first part of the plan, and the Republic does get Wrecker. However, we do just need a wound looking at the math, and I think Django can guarantee that for us. So we're going to pay 1, reserve Wrecker, grab Django, and he's going to do something absolutely filthy and disrespectful. Start by healing the strain, and then capture wire Leia, which gives her a pin, doubling up the pin. That becomes a damage and gets the wound, which will then allow the Republic to win the struggle, win the game with a capture wire kill. So, yeah, Zeb tried his hardest, but I think the Rebels were doomed as soon as Hondo was able to knock Chewie away and retake his objective with that disarmed shot. So, a very good game, I think. I really enjoyed playing it, despite it taking forever to film. I've never had a game go that long in Struggle 1. 2 full decks is probably more than most games go, and we did that just for 1 struggle. So I think 2 very evenly matched teams. I won't take too long with the rewind because it's already been a long video, but I think the one thing I would highlight as a mistake is that early attack when the Rebel Commandos wounded ARF in the first struggle, where I took the heals along the bottom of the tree rather than going along the top of the tree for a reposition, because that allowed Hondo to do his reposition first, get on top of that objective. If we hadn't allowed that and scored 4 as the Rebels, I think that would have given them a foothold to win the first struggle pretty quickly after that, and then probably won the game because that first struggle is so important in shifting. Now, continuing on from that, I think Hondo is going to be our recipient for MVP for this game. Obviously, that was a clutch save by him, making the most of that opportunity against the Rebel Commandos, but also just his big force refreshed in Struggle 1 helped give us a lot of abilities that we could use with all that force. And then right at the end of the game, that disarmed shot into Chewie was really impactful, getting him off the objective, giving us a second straight turn of scoring 4. So Hondo is going to be our MVP. So that about does it. I really enjoyed these 2 lists. If you want to play Hondo, I think this is probably the best Hondo list out there. If you want to play Ewoks, kind of air quotes Ewoks, I think that's maybe the best Ewok list out there. Probably not top tier S meta lists, but very strong lists. You could certainly take down an event with either of these, I think. Very solid, very usable. And then last but not least, we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the channel, and it is December, the season of gift giving. So if you want to give a gift to Bombad Tactics, my ask would just be, tell a friend, tell a local about the channel. Word of mouth advertising is a very effective method. So if you are enjoying the videos, whether it be battle reports, the rules, the puzzles, tell someone about it and give a recommendation to your locals. It's been a fun year, and I'm looking forward to more to come. Have a good one.